Welcome to a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Tommy Tran. This hour presented by UKG. And boy, we've already seen some fun things on this college football Saturday, especially in the noon slate and ending at Ford Stadium in the ACC. SMU taking down number 10 Miami 26-20. Carson Beck 274 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, including 1 costly pick in overtime that allowed TJ Harden to score from 1 yard out to give the Mustangs a victory at home to improve to 6-3. And for Miami, they now fall to 6-2 overall. Welcome to college football postgame. I'm Tommy Tran with Mackenzie Brooks and Danny Kanell. So 10.5-point favorites is what Miami came into the week. It actually closed around 8.5, so there's some money on the ponies here. This was a close game. This was one won by SMU. What stood out to you about how they were able to do it, Danny?
Kevin Jennings, playing the role of hero. He came into this game pretty banged up. He was hurt, and he finds a way to do it. He comes out of the game for a little bit, limping around, but yet ultimately wills his team to a win. You cannot say enough about Rhett Lashley and the job this SMU team did to stay in the game and make it a fourth quarter game. Miami had every opportunity to close this game out and could not do it. What a resounding win there for SMU. Rhett Lashley, just got the extension before the game. That seems to have paid off dividends for a program which really likes the way he's taken it. I think this is a really big win for SMU, but I think this is a devastating loss for the Miami Hurricanes, who I don't think had any margin to lose another game. Their only hope to get in the college football playoff now is to win the ACC, and even that looks dire the way the standings are setting up for the Canes.
I was just going to say, you got Louisville, Virginia, SMU, Duke, and Georgia Tech all ahead of them now.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can hope other things happen and the rest of the conference cannibalizes itself. But I mean, I was the first to say this was about their at-large hopes. And that was because even if they won and they didn't even do it in style, I think that was going to be a poor look for them in general. The fact that you lose outright, it's hard to rationalize you making it to Charlotte for the ACC Conference Championship the way the rest of these teams in front of you are looking and the schedules they have. So this was one of 2 upsets we had on watch this week, this game, and then Kansas State, Texas Tech. When you look at a model and when it comes into projecting a score for this game, there's about 120 minutes of really bad average ACC football on tape for this Miami team recently. When you think about that first half for Stanford, that entire game versus Louisville, second half versus FSU, yes, we account for wins and losses, obviously, but there's a lot of minutes of really bad football from this team, and I think that's why we had this as such a close game, and then to see it come to fruition, it makes a lot of sense now. Yeah,
it's interesting if we can bring up that schedule one more time, because there was a point in time, week 5, week 6 of the college football season, that Miami was considered the #1 team in the country. Brandon Marcello, our guy, puts the power rankings together, had the Canes #1 because they were power rated better, because they had the better resume. Danny, this is the second straight season that they're going to have this sort of second half collapse. And a reminder now that SMU actually has the more recent college football playoff appearance. And so for Miami, again, second straight year, Cam Ward last year, Carson Beck this year. What's sort of been the problem the last 3 to 4 weeks for this Canes team?
It's a lot. I mean, this has been a problem for almost 20 years, that the Miami Hurricanes, who were supposed to come in and give the ACC a perennial, championship contender, and yet they can't even win the ACC championship, is a major disappointment. But I do think this is a devastating blow for the Miami Hurricanes. They went out, they spent a ton of money to get Carson Beck. They spent out a ton of money to get Corey Heatherton to run the defense. They got a bunch of players in the transfer portal. They have been spending, and with a schedule that's set up really nicely for them, you got those signature wins early. You got through those first 5 games, and then to lay an egg since then with a couple of rough losses, I think this is going to be yet another season of disappointment. And Tommy, you mentioned the November, December record for Mario Cristobal. It is starting to become a thing where you just have a track record of coming up short when it matters the most. I thought Miami got very conservative on the offensive side of the ball. I thought you saw Carson Beck regress to some of those mistakes that we saw last year and earlier this season against Louisville. He comes up with another 2 interceptions, including the most costly one of the day in overtime. This has got to be a major, major disappointment for the Miami Hurricanes.
I don't want to say, this is not my area of expertise by any means, but, in the realm of all the coach firings, are we suddenly in a hot seat situation, you think, with Cristobal?
No, because he went to Miami. He's got the power of the big money boosters behind him. Yeah. I don't think yet. Now, if they collapse into the end of the season, if they're 10-2, I think you look at it and you're like, man, we were close.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those ones where next year he probably comes in with a ton of pressure on him. And, just considering all that's unfolded, how much money they've invested, again, I think Mario is safe because of the backing that he's got. But I think entering next season, it becomes very squarely focused on him.
It's not over yet. They just don't control their own everything in front of them in terms of what they're having to do. It's just, again, crazy. About a month ago, we're talking about, he's playing behind an NFL offensive line. They improved the defense, #1 team arguably in the country, and now 2 losses in the last few weeks, and they're on the outside looking in their own conference. Stanley Kens, guys, certainly appreciate it. We're taking a look at the ACC and the finish today out at Ford Stadium. Cover 3 podcast with DK, Tom Fornelli, Chip Patterson, and Bud Elliott. Scan the QR code. Get ready for instant reaction later tonight.